Yeah, go hear the rain they cry. Rain in the oh yeah, go hear the rain they cry. Here I the dirty of glory in the shade. Oh, hey now, the wrongs that they do, we get the blame. I'm thinking, we and them, we're not the same. Oh, no, no, 'cause we're not a part of their dirty game. They're just doing all the pain and job.
Yes, so want to say big love and good morning, good evening to you. It is still cold. What am I talking about? It is winter. I guess not everybody has winter anywhere, but it is cold. Oh, what else can I say? I want a big love to all of you who are going to be hanging with me this evening. Um, a little bit pensive, to say the least. We had a lot of revelation, and these revelation, I hope, will give us a sense of where we are, who we are, who we are conceived to be, who we conceive ourselves to be. And I hope we kind of take a look, serious look. I had some conversation just recently on a program we did, I think Thursday or Wednesday, I can't remember when now. But it was kind of surreal in a sense, kind of numbing. Um, the way we look at ourselves, the way we look at our history, um, the way we're not paying attention, the way um, maybe we're naive. We're naive. And these are just my opinion. This is just how I felt. And I'm saying this because of the trend. It was a trend of the conversation. When we look at ourselves, and I hear this so very often, hey, we cannot keep looking back at our history. We have to just get up and move forward. How naive can we be if we are just going to get up out of the blue? We're going to New York, where we have never been before, we have never tread before. Or even if we've been there before, somebody took us, or somebody was taking us, or somebody held our hands. I know you're in your car or in the train, you're driving on the train or you're driving on the plane. It is two different playing field when you're going to be taking your car and you're going to navigate the journey yourself. Now, if you're going to do that and you're going to get to New York in a timely fashion, where you're not going to be frustrated, where you're not going to get lost, where somebody's not going to hit you up the head side, or, probably hit you up for some money because you're lost and they know you're lost, and you're not going to be turned around and pushed around. You don't have that confidence. You don't have that power. That's a kind of a power when you have knowledge, that knowing, right? So I'm saying, if you are going to go to New York and you don't have your GPS really sink into your direction, you're in trouble. You're in serious trouble. And not only do you have to have the GPS in sync, for you to make sure, and if you're a prepared person, you are going to have the normal roadmap as well. Yeah, if you're prepared. And if you're really, really prepared, you're going to probably have somebody who is with you that knows, at least have some idea of the roadmap, the roadway, the road direction into New York. That is what we could say covering all grounds. That's when you're prepared. That's when you have knowledge. Not only knowledge, the knowledge. But when you're just going to get up and say, well, you know what, I just follow the road sign. I just, I'm smart enough. I can just travel from California to New York. How difficult can it be? Their road sign to tell me where to go and so on. I don't need a road map. I don't need a GPS. I think can I say, for a better word, and for my vocabulary not being as strong as it should be, that you're stupid, downright stupid, to be going forward. And when I say stupid, it goes for me too as well, that I'm never normally well prepared. And if you're not well prepared, you are really heading the wrong direction, period. There is a big difference between successful people. Success is for the prepared mind. Serendipitous is also for the prepared mind. You have to be in a particular kind of mode that when that moment, that Yahoo moment come, you can recognize it. But for you to recognize this, you have to be in that zone. You have to be on that pathway. It's like you're going into some direction and all of a sudden you come up on that sign, or you see that road mark or that marker. You say, oh yes, this is it. I've seen this before. I know it. You see, knowledge is a very strange thing. Knowing and having knowledge is a very strange thing. So when I hear my brothers and sisters saying, "Oh darn, let us forget about what went on. Let us move on." Move on to where? What compass are you going to use? What kind of compass are you going to use to move on to where? When we look at what has happened, what has transpired for the past several weeks in our community. Hey, let me just back up a little bit. First of all, before I get into this, because I know I'm going to be going off in a tangent in a little bit, but please allow me. And I hope that a lot of you will call in, because I know a lot of you want to really get things off your chest, if that's what you call it, or on your shoulder, wherever it is, hatching. And I just don't want us to really argue, but I want us to kind of start talking in a direction where we can really look at ourselves, because all of the problems that we have is not with anybody else, is with ourselves. If you cannot come to the table, prepared, and have something to put forward, then you're not going to be treated as so-called quote unquote equal. You have nothing to offer, so you cannot be equal. You're going to go into a marriage, and the millionaire, maybe the woman, let me start for the woman, and the man, he's never worked a day in his life, and you're coming into a marriage. I'm not sure that's got to be equitable. It's not. I'm coming in with my $1 million. What are you coming in with? Your persona? And you have to look at that person who is going to who is the millionaire, who is going to accept that person without a dime, never work a day. What does that person who is the millionaire want? And you will probably be right if you say, "Hey, I want a servant for a husband that I can tell him what the hell to do. I can keep him down there." Because how our society is set up, you have to have something. You have to be a stakeholder in order for you to have a say so. Hey, want to say welcome to our co-host, the wonderful, wonderful lady. I can't find the word to describe now. Beautiful, beautiful, Miss Iane Way. She's here with us this evening, and of course, Madhu also is hanging out with us. Your mics are open, lady and gentlemen. I don't know if I want to say that. So I want to say big love and good evening to you both. I'm really, we're going to really touch a topic that for some of us is not really too good. A lot of us are not really experiencing a couple of weeks. And some of us probably really couldn't care because it's not affecting us right now. We have our Mercedes Benz, we have a $500,000 house, we mixed with the what have you. Nobody's calling you name. You think you're friends, you shake hand, you rub shoulders. So what's going on down there does not affect me. Think again. And I think this is where a bigger part of our problem is. But I know I'm vacillating, since I started, but I'm going to try to really zooming. But I'm sure all of you who are listening in, kind of have an idea of my confusion as well. If some of you are maybe just as confused as I am, but join the crowd. When we look at who we are, we have to think about where we're coming from. Well, it is 10 generation or 50 generation far moved from where we are now. And you're saying that certain of whatever we went through, certain of the the suffering, the strain, the psychological warfare that we suffered 10, 20 generation um, behind us should not be affecting us today. Let me tell you something. I think that for somebody who is not thinking and understand humanity will definitely say that. And a lot of us will draw the attention and say, well, or even myself will say, well, I'm not thinking that way. I mean, we should give up certain thing now. It's long gone. It's all gone. Um, I would bring attention, maybe it has no relevance here too, but I'll still say, the Jew says, never again, never again, meaning in their psyche, in their consciousness, they're always on the lookout, they're always on the watch. And in so too, they put out a physical memory, a museum that has all the atrocities that was made out, and it's well kept, and you as a Jewish person will definitely go there and be reminded generation after generation. So somewhere in the back of your mind, etched in your mind, a generation that is coming, you will know what happened, and you will definitely make sure as a part of your responsibility to try and avoid such a thing for ever happening again. So you're on alert. Somebody has your attention, or at least you have, this is what I need to look out for to make sure certain atrocities not committed against me, not me, but my people. Because you have to be responsible for your people as an individual, meaning that I have to look out for you, vice versa, vice versa. And when we do that, this is when the nation comes together. Now, if we see this over this week, and somebody can help me out because my memory probably is not too very well here. We have, and I don't know the names, the New York City. We had the strangulation of this young man on the street. Police was set free on that, was not indicted. We have the young little brother over there in Cleveland. He was set free. The police that did that atrocity there was set free. We have a little 12-year-old that is probably still going on, that was murdered again for whatever reason. That don't seem logical. We also have in Phoenix, I think it was on Wednesday, another unarmed black man was slaughtered again. During all of this, all of what's going on, the thing about it, with all of the demonstration and the destruction of property and the chattering, there is still no ceasing. Things is going on as usual. Once a group over here is demonstrating, we're still carrying on the slaughtering on the other side, if that's how you want to look at it. And so you look at yourself, and when you see all of this, because you're in your safe haven, so you think, one of the questions I asked the other day, the Brown family, I was just thinking when Trayvon Martin died, this little young man died, and the big uproar and all of that. And although we made a big uproar and we made a stink, they watched us until our little voice just fade away, and then they made they gave the gavel down, and of course it was in favor of the other person. And then we just leave, nothing happened. Our noise shot up. When the cold and the heat just kind of get to us, we just wither away and we go away. And then there was just shortly after Trayvon died, there was another little young man who was chased inside his bedroom and shot. I mean, that didn't make much of a big noise because it was just on the heel of Trayvon. And this is what I'm saying. While situation or the fire is blazing and somebody's pushing a wood, there's somebody behind there. I mean, pushing more fire, and the flames get hotter, and you're starting to run for your life now. You don't really care about certain things anymore. So it goes on. Nothing has stopped. But we get up and we blow up, and then once something is not in the news, because it takes the news to really get things out. We're not even going to go out there, and when this happened, we get up and say something. You know, there are a lot of atrocities is going on in our community, and we sit by and we say nothing. Only the news help us out. Although it's a what we call is a pania machete, sharpened on both sides. The media, they want the hysteria, they want the publicity. They're not necessarily do it in our favor, but sometimes nature has a funny way of doing things. It works out in our favor because people start to get this, it's get out in the airways, and we start to pay attention. But sometimes the media, not that they want to give attention to this situation, but it makes money for them. So eventually we get a little something out of it. So what I'm saying is, when I hear us, when you look at all what's going on, and when our brothers and sisters say, hey, we got to stop a little bit and stop talking about the past and all of the past. If you don't talk about the past, if you don't try to make sure you understand the past and what somebody else is thinking about it, let me give you a little example. I went into Section 8, and I'm sure a lot of you know what Section 8 is all about. It's those people, a lot of Black people, let's say, just like, and I don't know the stats on it. It's like they say the majority of people on welfare is Black people. And when you look at the stats, that's not really true. But anyway, the Black people are looked down on, or as being the drain of the system when it comes on to that. Section 8 is much the same as a part of it, where you get assistance from the government to help you to be able to live comfortably in a decent place, and the government pays a portion or all of your rent. So I was down to the Section 8, and there's 2 bits of paper that is on the desk to be signing. You have to sign in. One is for landlord and one is for tenant. So this may sound simple to you, but when I talk about perception and to know what is going on and how people perceive you, this is a hell of a thing to sit and consider. And we cannot just jump off and go do what we think we should be doing and forget. We have a lot of work to do. Here's what happened. I signed my name on the tenant sheet, which was a yellow sheet, big yellow sheet. And the landlord sheet was a yellow sheet. The tenant sheet was a white sheet. I signed my name on the landlord sheet, and I was about to go to sit to wait my turn, because there was somebody, I think, before me on the sheet. The lady came back. Listen to what I'm saying. Are you a tenant? I says, no, ma'am. I'm not a tenant. Do you see that I sign on the landlord sheet? Are you a tenant? Because I would like to know. I said, ma'am, do you see where I sign? I sign on the landlord sheet. Oh, I'm just trying to find out if you are a tenant. Ma'am, for the 3rd time, I sign on the landlord sheet. So therefore, I'm not stupid. I'm not dumb. I can read. You have a color-coded paper. One is blue, one is yellow, and one is white. Therefore, I sign on the landlord sheet, which I am a landlord. And I went down and I sat to myself. And I says, and this was a sister. This was a sister. And I said to myself, wow, wow. Perception is a hell of a thing. And this is not the first time this happened. I rented a Caucasian couple a house some time ago, and I had to get an inspection for the house. And the tenant was right there, and I was right there, and the inspector came in. We were kind of, the tenants were on the left, I was on the right, between the gate. It just so happened that you were coming between the gate. The inspector turned his back to me and proceeded, did not say hello to me or anything, proceeded to speak with the white couple. Oh, Mr. So-and-so, calling them my name. And we just stood there. You're supposed to get an inspection now. What is in the house? Blah, 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 blah. His back turned to me. You want to come in and let us, let's go in and see what the house is. It was two guys. They turn and say, she is the landlord. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so very sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know exactly. When you look at those things, although we are so-called integrated in the system, and we're going to talk about integration in a while. What system are you integrated in? If you cannot look at me and look at my counterpart and think we're equally able to have, rather than you come in and say, oh, I'm here to inspect your house. Who is Mr. Jones, or who is Miss Jones? Although there's a miss there, or, it's not even last name. Who is Miss Jones? Where do we go from here? No, you automatically, although you have the information in your hand, you automatically turn to the Caucasian couple, because our society says you as a Black person, you're always on the receiving end. So when and if this has never happened to you before, then maybe you're living in a part of the country that is really, really very integrated. I worked at a particular hospital. I was the most qualified person in my department, 4 step over. And although I have my scrubs on, I'm oftentimes looked at not even as a helping somebody there, as the person who cleans the floor. I have a scrub on like my counterpart, but I am nobody who cleans the floor have a scrub on. None. You don't wear scrubs if you clean the floor. But yet still, I am. I don't know if it's mistake. How can you mistake that? I have a badge on and everything, and a scrub on, and you can't even see that. You see past that and look at me as a Black person. I should not have any qualification enough for you to be a part of the so-called team. I have to be the person who is cleaning the floor. When you look at all of those things, you're going to still say to me, we have to forget what took place. We have to move on. You just can't. You have to stop and say, you know what? I have to go way, way, way back. And I have to look at how things happened, how things started. Then we have to try and clean that sore, squash out the pus out of it. And then we gradually start healing. And when we get that healing, we will, the chances of that will bruise ourselves again in that place is probably next to nil. But if you keep plastering over, every time you get a little juke, it's going to bleed and it's going to bleed. The area that is affected is going to also possibly expand and maybe get to a point where we have to take that leg off or take that place off. So I may be rambling and I may be going back and forth here, but I hope somebody understands where I'm coming from. I think we need to take another look at ourselves, not because we can have a mortgage, not because we can have a car, not because we can drink from the same fountain. It doesn't mean a darn thing. And it takes these kind of a situation for us to start seriously look at ourselves. A lot of us, rather than, believe it or not, rather than look at ourselves and see what's happening, we say, wow, we start to blame us. Well, you know what? He shouldn't have this, or he shouldn't do this, or he shouldn't that. Let me go back a minute. I was saying to myself, the Browns, I wondered when Trayvon Martin got killed, if the Browns were demonstrating for the injustices for days and days. I wonder, you know what? I wonder about that. And the reason why I said that is because a lot of us think that we are safe and we criticize certain things. And some of us will go out and lend our voices and our time for the time being. And then we say, we don't know when it's going to fall on our step. We don't know it's going to be us. And the reason why I said that, the reporter, and when they start destroying buildings, and this is what you have to look at. We have to be very, very careful. Those of us who think we are there. They went to some of these folks, our folks, and what do you think about what people, you hear the phrase in the question, what do you think about what's going on in town? Oh, I wish they will stop it. This is not getting anywhere. This is, and kind of talking down and looking down on what these people are going on. But the system is set up in such a way. So it says to you, what you're getting back from that vibration, you see that your own people kind of hate what you're going on. You all hate what you're going on with. And this one is a little bit above the barbarism that you guys are burning down and destroying. And these here, look at this one. They're saying what you're going on is crazy. Not we are saying this, but look at who is saying it about you. That's how the news plays us. So they isolate a couple folks and who think either that they are so whatever. Well, listen, in a situation like that, ma'am, listen, we're all down here in the ghetto. Sometimes people act irrational. But when sometimes you're getting hurt, it's hard to say how you are going to react as a human being. It's very, very difficult. Of course, I do not agree with people destroying buildings and so on. Just like how when Martin Luther King started his demonstration and walking through the streets, people were upset. You're not supposed to march. That's not civil. And what he says, you have to get out sometime and march, because that's the only way sometimes people are going to see and feel. Now, do things happen that shouldn't happen, that we would not want to happen? Of course it does. Nobody says anything about the lynching parties that usually happen. We don't go back and mention those stuff. Do we? We had a lynching directory. And what did you get lynched for? because maybe somebody passed and they just feel like lynching a black man today. And we're going to be joining in with our um, I want to say a big love to the king, the cosmic philosopher, cosmic, saying to hello to King Madhu, and all GE. I'm not sure what that is. Want to say big love to King Philosopher. Please join us 661-467-2407. That's 661-467-2407. 661-467-2407. That's the number to call in. We definitely need your voice. And let us know, what are you thinking? What is in your community? What can we do? I mean, do we have to? I was saying to my sister, I think that we need to have our mothers, because the mothers, unfortunately, we are the backbone of this country and probably every other country when it comes on to the community of black folks. We have to start taking this responsibility a little bit more serious. When we have our black boys are being slaughtered, targeted and slaughtered, well, because they have their pants down in their behind, and you look at them as thugs and all of that kind of stuff. Days gone by when hippies were having their tie dye and their whatever and stuff and their VW, and they were smoking and all of that. I mean, they weren't thugs, were they? Were they look at as thugs? I'm not sure. And I don't certainly agree with young men having their behind. I would prefer the young men to take off those pants so I can see what they have. That it would be so much more pleasant. But I hate the half-ass thing. That's not very cool to me. Take off that pants. I was saying to someone today. I saw a guy doing that. Oh, I said, I wish I would have damn well just dropped that pants down. That would be much more pleasant to see. You know, I mean, that we'll be talking about something. Um, but I think that we need to take a closer look of what we are, who we are, really, really get down to the bottom of this, kind of get into our psyche. And one of the places that we have to start from is the institution of church, because that is where a lot of the, wow, don't let me go there this evening. Um, but anyway, we'll probably get into that in the course of the conversation. Madhu Hiyanaway, I want to say welcome in, and certainly your mics are open. I know I've been chattering a little bit here with my headset off my shoulder, so if you were saying something, I did not get it. Any comment? Any comment? Mm-hmm. Oh.
People that were so peacefully protesting were killed, attacked by the police. You had people pointing all kinds of high-powered weapons and punishing people. I mean, this stuff is just unbelievable. To have people out with, their most of the people at that time didn't have much in his mind, but to have people in a state that is supposed to be protected, pointing all types of high-powered guns and um, there was people on YouTube. I think one was a person that was saying was asking a police for the person, and this person ran with his rifle, and the person answered the person that was asking him a question. This is this is unacceptable because I don't care if it's the police department. That's the last group of people that should be acting like thugs because they have guns and killing, and they are killing people. And people should not sit by and have never sit by and allow this kind of behavior to happen. I think that with all the media that we have today, it has allowed us to see what has been going on for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is so much going on, so much wrong being done to people by people that are in authority and authorized by the government, state and local government, that is supposed to be out here protecting people that are out here harming people. And when they harm people, they are they are not dealt with like they're supposed to be dealt with. They're not punished,
Mm-hmm.
and people are not going to just sit by and just think that we are here because so much of this stuff is happening because we simply really swept this under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that are happening all over the country. There's so many things that we need to be talking about, and this is just to me is really outrageous. And I think that we highlighted. I know the president is talking about this idea of putting body cameras in
Kim.
places. Well, there are cameras all over America right now, and Franklin says on camera,
Mm-hmm.
nothing happens. So, what is putting 50,000 body cameras on people that that they can do whatever they want to do? What is that going to do? Stop people from murdering people? I mean, I've seen so many incidents on camera of people, police doing all kinds of things in people's cars. I mean, there are so many stories right now. It's just really crazy. There was a couple in Cleveland. I think it was Cleveland, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
The police were saying that they were trying to stop people from. They were picketing two police cars running behind one car. I mean, if that's not just insane, I don't know what is. They could have killed many people flying up and down the street at
And they have. And they have done that.
100 miles an hour. Now, this is in America. They were even that crazy in Afghanistan, and they tried to cover that up. And then when they stopped these cars, they assassinated the people in the car.
Oh.
I mean, one cop stood over the hood of the car and fired
Directly into the car.
into the car. Like, hey, now, was the president standing up on top of the car? This is just outrageous craziness stuff that's going on in America. And, I heard someone, I think the so-called district attorney in Ferguson, first thing he did was criticize uh, what he called the authentication test.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he wasn't doing all that he wasn't know about a lot of things that are going on right now.
And this is why I'm glad you mentioned that. I spoke about that on a show I was on, this is one of the things that slipped through, that this WW thing, where we can have this kind of a voice, because otherwise we will never. And thank God for the mistake for camera phones and all those kind of a stuff. I'm sure they're going to have a restriction now that you're not able to take police in action on your phone. And I think the guy that took those picture in New York there, they tracked him down and charged him for something unrelated because he took those pictures, I think. I'm not too sure. But programs like this and opportunities like we have here is what is going to open up the doors. Mr. Zuckerberg Real Estate, what we call Facebook, I hope that we will start to see the power that this is, rather than using Facebook to curse out people and to denigrate them and to all of that thing, rather than look at this as a serious tool in order to communicate our grievances and bring attention to our grievances. I mean, they've set up Facebook that is being used against us now. Anybody who is going to employ you, they are not even listening to what you have to say in an interview. They are going to where they know who you are, get let loose, is your Facebook page. And a lot of us will never be able to get a job because that's like us. We are sentencing our own selves with the conversations that we have in these public places. So in one way, it is great that we have this kind of a media. And in another way, it is a two-edged sword, big time. To protect us, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. I think this is still. I think it's still there. Where I live, there are certain places somebody would say, "Oh, you better not go over there." I mean, where I live, there are places here where I live that is not very safe for you to, as a African American, to really go by yourself. Even today, I'm telling you. You have to. I I think though you still you have to be careful, and I think I understand what Ayano is saying. You have to be careful in in whatever regards, when you have your, if you're out there protesting, there's somebody who's out there who is making a note of that. If you're out in the media protesting, it's even a greater threat on you, because you can hardly take these things off once you have them down. And let me tell you why. If you're running for office, and when somebody wants to dig into something and find a little something, hey, it's literally, let's find all the dirt on this person. They will dig and dig and dig, and when they can't find anything, they will make up stuff, and they can make up stuff and all of that. So when you're on social media and you're going to be having a job, and maybe you are involved in a protest, or maybe you're whatever you're involved, they go right on your F book and find it, and that is going to be used against you. That is going to be used against you, and you may not know why you get the job, because they don't have to tell you why you don't get the job. Oh, I'm not saying that. When I say that, though, I'm not saying that you should not get out there or get on Facebook or whichever media and do whatever you know that is right. Certainly not. But I'm just bringing the it just kind of bring the to your attention that we've been watched, big brother, left, right, and center. Whatever you say, you're being watched, and this kind of a media sometimes help them in a lot of way, because the first thing they're going to do is go to your Facebook and see what you said. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Thank you. Wow. Hmm. Yeah. Yes. 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 Hmm. That's exactly what I'm saying. Hmm. 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 We don't have any respect for each other, period. Because I think, and this is what we don't have to look. What I'm saying, you expect people to have compassion because we all share this earth together. So it would be wonderful if we all live together in peace. And I think this is. This has been taking us a while. We seem to be getting there somewhat sometimes in some places, but when you look at in other places, we're so far from this peace thing, and you're wondering if really there is any peace. Certainly, there is nothing called love, because I mean, and that's a whole different. That's just my opinion, and that's a whole lot of hypocrisy when it comes to love. Because if you're talking about love and you have that, you're supposed to have that for all humanity. The Bible, if you believe in the Bible, who is telling you all of that, he says, love thy neighbor as thyself. So everything that you do for yourself, you should be doing it for your neighbor. So your neighbor child come home, they want to stay over by you, they have need for money, they have need for food, etc., etc. I mean, you shouldn't turn them down. I mean, you shouldn't want to covet your neighbor's wife. You shouldn't want to be malicious because you have this love. When I sit down and I hear Pat Roberts says, "Oh, our government is not doing enough to kill ISIS or kill Palestinian or kill," is always this constant. And you look at his face, kill. And I was talking today, and I'm looking and say, wow, really, it is a killing field. When you go into religion, I was listening to a pastor, and I listened to him, and everything he said, he's praying to God to defeat his enemy, to cripple his enemy. These are the words coming out of the pastor's mouth. To slaughter them at his footstool. This was a sermon. And we try to overlook this all the time. When you look into Sunday Mass and you have representation of the flesh of Christ and the blood of Christ, when the pastor says, hey, take this as the representation of the blood of Christ and drink it. Take this as the flesh of Christ and eat it. That barbaric, murderous thing. This is how we have to start. Sit down. Don't get emotional too much like I often do. And I'm not emotional. I'm just passionate about certain things, and that's kind of different from emotion. I'm really passionate about certain things. I mean, because you want to see things different. We have suffered too much. We're under the illusion. We're just vacillating back and forth and making a mockery and wasting a lot of time rather than finding real solution. We are really making a mock of things. How can you serve a God who I mean, you have Mohammedan people murdering people. I mean, you see people, we're getting so numb to this. It's just like we black folks over here. I mean, white folks it's nothing for them to slaughter a black person. It's nothing. And it is really nothing because nobody is ever responsible. Take a look at the lynching directory. Whoever gets prisoned, whoever get paid, whoever is chastised for this. No, but you know why they don't? We don't stand together. We don't know who we are. Once we get integrated in a system, and you can buy a car, you can drink from a well, or you can say, hey, this Caucasian person is my friend, and we should be all friends. We should be in that kind of uses, but we are not there yet. We have not gotten to the place where we know where we are, let me tell you something. All of this thing would have been done and gone long ago if we as Black people, well, let's take a look at, we talk about integration. I don't know if that is a bad word or is even worse than slavery. When folks were in slavery, and folks, I know people like to extrapolate and all of that, and instead of us having a conversation to try and get through this and see who we are, somebody's damn well sitting down and criticizing, and this is why we cannot get anywhere. But white people is never our problem. They have a right to do whatever they want to do. That is how they think. You hope that they would be people who have some kind of a civilization that will not hurt other people. But they have a right to do what they have to do. We have a right to guard ourselves and protect ourselves and make sure we are just as powerful as they are. So when we go to war, you're not slaughtering somebody. And if you go to war, a lot of people get slaughtered on both sides. So then we'll have respect for each other, because you know what? You will know that I have my big bazooki, and I know you have your big bazooki, or I will know you have your nuclear bomb. But you know what? You know that I damn have my nuclear bomb. So if we both release our might and power, all of us perish. But if you're the only one who has your A bomb, you bet I'm going to step in your neck. Because you're worth stepping in the neck, because you should have the civilization. If you call yourself human being, you should have the power to make your A bomb too, or to make your shelter, or to get education, or to protect your people. When we look at this society that we live in, our men are nowhere to be found. Our women, those that are even, at home with men, they're being kicked and disrespected, disregarded. We have to be taken care. How many people can tell a boy, my grandma took care of me, my mom alone? We're wearing this badge of honor where we're talking about it. I'm a single parent, as if it's a badge of honor now. That's what we're looking at. So if we cannot know that we are folks, we have worth, and we can stick together, that when I go out and see a brother man, I'm talking to folks, and when I hear folks say, boy, I have a house to build, but I will never put a Black man to build my house. I will never, although their brother, even worse. My brother is a contractor, but I don't want him knowing my business. I prefer go get the white man do it, because the white man does it better, or this does it better. How the hell can you be in a society and as a nation, as a people, and you hate your freaking self that much? Then if you hate yourself and you open the floodgate, this is the nature of people. You don't protect your asset, it is going to be taken away from you because you're not deserving of it. This is the nature of people that we have right now. Someday, maybe it's going to be different. We're all vultures. Some of us are more than others. We prey on each other. We prey on, plants, animals, the kingdom of, hey, the fittest of the fit survive. I'm eating you if you lay yourself careless. So those people who don't have protection, who don't know the value, and our men, a lot of them, and I have to come down hard on our men. Because one of the things where I see in the community I grew up, I never see no man. And the man, him have, get pregnant, this woman up here and 6, and he could have 6, 7 children, and who takes care of him? Certainly not him, because he's moving on. We have a situation now where, because we don't have the man, we have to be aborting left, right, and center. And we have the white folks, we have one particular white folks, they're doing so damn good, which is where we should be doing, which is where we were doing. But we have adopted a different kind of policy, in that we are aborting, we are murdering our own people because of the system. How the system set up us, and our belief system is changing in such a way that we have become murderers by we have our circumstances. We have what, 19 and counting. What's that family name? That's how we build kingdom. That's how we build. That, that's how we will survive. Not by murdering our children, unborn child. And us women who have to struggle so hard to get an education. How many of us are having children? I mean, we don't have any children anymore because we fight for that education till we're 40. We realize that, hey, biological clock run out. And not only that, you get this education and you're trying to better yourself because you're trying to do better. Then no man wants you because, hey, you are in a situation that you're earning more than him. So you demasculize him. He ain't got no dick. His dick can't stand no more because you have an education and he don't have one. He cannot have a conversation with you. And those of us who really, really want one, they're in prison. So what are we supposed to do? Can we not see what we're doing? Nobody's doing anything to us, but we're doing it to ourselves. If we cannot come together, if you can say, hey, Dr. Eva, see you having your little radio station there now. Boy, this is an opening for me to come in and can either listen to our music or if we want to have a conversation with. But who of us are coming to say, hey, let me go help her? We come to destroy. We come to watch and destroy. We come to disrespect and disregard. And as a woman, you cannot have a voice as a woman to say anything because you are the BIT, whatever. So our men just pull us up and murder us, literally murder us. And we are the one who are pulling things. And those of them who get the so-called opportunity to get a break, going to the NFL, when you never have a draws on your ass, you were down with the black woman that was down in the ghetto with you. The minute you get that break, you'll never go back there and spend one dime of the $100 million that you get. Some of them don't even remember their mother. Or if they do remember their mother will get a SUV and their other half will get the Mercedes 1600 and the $1 million house. That $1 million house is not being built by a black architect. They would not search them out and give them the opportunity. The car, the Mercedes and the 10 Mercedes and the Lamborghini is not coming from the community in which they came from. Nobody is going back there to spend a dime there. I challenge everyone. Let me tell you something. Rosa Parks, and Rhoda Park was probably the 99th person who tried to bring some justice to the problem of what's going on. She got chosen. Maybe she was a little lighter or a little brighter or a little whatever close to the white person, so they wouldn't murder her that quickly or something. Whatever happened, we know the history about that. So when you look at all of these things, and you really say, we are the evil. We have our own black people who are sitting and listening to me, and all they're sitting and doing is criticize. It's not to call up and say, sister, you know what? You are doing this part. You know, what can I do to help? We have an opportunity that we can have a radio station where we can come together. We can organize as never before. And we're not doing it. We're using it to murder each other too. We're the biggest murderers of each other. As much as we want to say, we're the biggest murderer because you have no faith in me. You have no respect for me. What do? Nothing. So these are the stuff that we have to start to look at. This is why we have to go back into our history. And we have to pull out and see what virus is there that is preventing us from moving on. I was talking to a sister in the week here, and she said she just went to her family reunion for about 200 people. And of course, this sister is always an advocate for our own people. She says, folks, We need to look at this family, and we need to, there are young people coming in. We need to set aside a little fund that we can provide a scholarship when this kid in our family go to school. She said the first thing somebody says to her, so who is going to keep the money? Who? Come on. That made me almost want to tear up right now. The first thing was said, who is going to keep the money? Nobody said, this is a great idea. Who is going to keep the money? Then when she says, well, I could. She says, how can we trust you? But hear me out. And I know I hear my sister about to say something. When we were back in the days, we had our own bank. We had to, because nobody wanted our money. When back in the days, we had our own tailors. We had our own little store. We had land. We even bought land. Now, 99.9% of us rent. We don't have no banks where we can get a loan from. If those of us who save enough to get a mortgage, your counterpart get a 0.20 or 2% mortgage, and you get a 13% mortgage. Nobody cannot say you don't get the opportunity to get your house. You go to the car dealership, they get a 0.0% finance. You get 9, 10, 12, 13%. Aren't we not looking? We have nothing. We bring nothing to the table. I'm looking, I'm a public television watcher. And God, sometimes I'm so angry at myself that I have not done anything in this world. You would not be. I'm the angriest person at myself because I have done nothing. When I see all them scientists and these young, like a 25-year-old talking about quantum physics and string theory, and they're coming up with the next whatever, even these young kids that coming up with the next video games, and all we freaking sit down is go out and buy $60 video game and feed it to our children. And what they have this in these video game just feed our children mind. We make nothing. Those of us who are in a position that we can be a part of these, we don't know about the ghettos that we came from. We're not giving back anything. The man down there in the community who is starting a business do not get any help. I am so proud of the other day, 2 lawyers, and I know we have some callers. 661-467-2407 is the number to call in. I'm going to take up your call in a while. I think we have 407. Just a minute. I'm going to be opening your line. We have a couple the other day. They were lawyers. They are lawyers, and they said, you know what? We are going to make sure that we go back into our community. And things are going on, but it's not enough to really cause this ripple is not enough. We want a tidal wave now. And they said they had to drive 25 minutes to go to a community because where they're living, I mean, nothing of a Black community. And they had to drive 25 minutes to make sure they go into the community. We had Black Friday coming here and gone. We have Christmas coming in. How many of us decide that, you know what, my budget is $500. I'm going to make sure that I go to a Black person and buy something. Well, somebody may say their things are too, it's too high. I can go to Mr. W Mart and get this for half the price. Sometimes we have to make sacrifice. If we don't make sacrifice, then where are we heading to? Anyway, let us take 407. Good evening and welcome into the show. Madu and Yanaway and Dr. Eva on the line. How are you? Oh my goodness, one of my favorite person. Shantai, good evening. Welcome in. Thank you so, so much for joining me. Wow, that is so wonderful. Thank you. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. Well, and folks, let me tell you, and I love to I haven't heard from Shantai in a little bit, but I've seen you. You're responding, and I like to boast on this young man. And here is what I'm talking about. This young man, a young man, and one of these great people, and this is what I call greatness. This is where greatness comes in. Being from Jamaica, and I met this young man through my radio program about 4.5, 5 years now since I started this show. And he started with his music and is a musician. And he decided to get into his community that he's from and went and start out with, and I'm sure you're going to update me here, with a couple of the old people that usually be in his that lives in his community when he was growing up and he's a young man. And this young man usually gets some nice like a telltale thing and straighten out himself from these old people who are not his relative, because that's how the community usually function. So when he get to the States and he were able to put a couple of dollars together, and God know is really literally a couple of dollars, but he started there. He's not a rich, wealthy person, by no means, wealthy in spirit, and understand the psyche of who we are and our responsibility to our community. And this young man went and he chose 5 people, and he is supporting them. Later on, when his little music starts to sell a little better, he chose some other little young kids in the community and start a lunch money program all by himself. There's no other person who is in this. These are not his family member, his kin people. These are the society in which he is a part of, and he is taking on that responsibility by himself. Now, this is the kind of a situation that we grew up into once upon a time. Now, you have 10 cars in your garage. You have Mr. G person, you know who that big guy is. Your wife has to get his handbag for $5,000, even if it means you have to mortgage one of the cars. But for you to go into your community or reach out to a child into the community and say, hey, did you have lunch money today? I see you're looking a little so-and-so. Did you or for you to go to your family member when you go to this reunion and say to them, hey, we need to start a scholarship fund for the Brown family. Every single person in here need to put not $100 for like you buy the sneakers for, not $5,000 for the G bag or the whatever bag that you have to buy so much and advertise. But $5 a month, $2 a month, however it is, so nobody can make an excuse. And you're going to tell me that a family who is their own family cannot support this kind of effort, have to look on somebody else and say, you know what, who can we trust you? Who gonna keep the money? You are giving your money, all of us. Once upon a time, long time ago, when I came here, we had a black bank in Harlem. I think this is all, and I hope I get a chance to talk about Marcus Garvey a little bit, what Marcus Garvey did for us and those Garveyites, which is dying out now because our philosophy is not being taught anymore because we integrate with self. We are satisfying with being a part of, not being the head cook and bottle washer, or at least sharing power. We just want to be a part of. We are the consummate consumer. We are the people who decide that our family, especially, and I have to come down harder, man. And if you're a man out there who are doing the right thing, you know you don't have to say anything. My stone is not hitting you. But those men who my stone hit, you need my stone to crash into your freaking brain. When you get up into the NFL and all of those places, rather than coming back and say, you know what? Hey, need to buy every Ferrari that is out there. Feel inferior that you have to buy every freaking Ferrari that is out there for monies that you may never have next week. Because trust me, they're watching you and hiring you, because the minute you slip, they're gonna take you friggin' down. The woman who you had the ability, when she was down here, that that's the only one you had to screw then. And you probably leave her with 2-3 children. And they have to sue you to get a dime to take care of that child. So our men have let us down. Our men are constantly letting us down. When our men are walking on the street with them behind outer door and them pants down, which, you know what? If anybody's out there who wants to make some big time money, get into chiropractic, because these people are going to feel some back pain in years to come. Is not even going to be funny. This is what we do. How long is it going to take for us to find ourselves? Women may fail when there is no strength in our men. And this is not a feminist thing. And don't bother attack me as a feminist thing, because this is not a feminist thing. This is reality. How much you decide that, hey, we have a little boy coming into the family now. Let us put together and make sure that this little kid, when he's about to go to college, we are able to finance him as a family, as a unit, so that he can, step out there. He don't have to be picked up in the street in the pool of his blood and his mother cry to the sky and the heavens and ask why. If we were together as a people, as a nation, the way how we used to be one time when we were in slavery, we usually look out for evil because we never had any choice. But now we claim we're free. Free to do what? Free to do what? Free to criticize each other, free to turn in each other. You just want to hear the other side come and say, hey, let's so and so. We get planted always, because they make us feel like we are better than you. I don't want to go back to the ghetto. I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there. You know what? When your ass get busted, who you think is going to be there for you? Some of them don't even go take their parents out of there. You know, and the other side live better than their own parents. We have to really start looking at us. The man will not be able to look down on you if you have the same kind of weapon as he is. And when I say weapon, I mean the same kind of integrity, the same kind of respect for yourself, the same kind of education, because education runs the system. Or if you are a CFO and he's a CFO too, he will have to respect you. You're not begging him. Now, the other thing, if we all get together, we're talking about Roses Park, why are we burning down buildings? Why don't we stop supporting those buildings if those people are in the community that you're doing? Because that's not getting us anywhere. Or why we don't decide that, hey, we're going to crash we have, hey, a lot of us have cars now. So we can carpool, but hell no, I'm not going to carry in my 360C Benz. No, you're not going to come in there. So you know what? I'm not going to be doing the carpool thing, right? That's it. So the city bus is going to keep running. Mr. G person or Mr. whatever person, his store, and he plainly tell you, he don't want you in his clothes. But you're going to save every freaking dollar you get in order to buy his clothes, if it's even one of them. You understand? So I think that something is wrong with our thinking. Something is wrong, and this we have to go back to where we are. Um, Let me just kind of outline something here to you. 661-467-2407. Please press 1 on your telephone keypad if you'd like to join in the conversation. Let me tell you something. And then I go back to the telephone line. I know Mr. Shunta is there, and I like him to tell his story a little bit too. I was looking the other day at 3 leaders that we have, 3 very significant leaders. Marcus Garvey coming out, and a lot of black folks don't know who Marcus Garvey is. Don't know who he is. Don't know. Marcus Garvey in the 1800s, just coming off of the heels of slavery. Fresh. Slavery was all the way about. That man and his family, his dad was an avid reader. Comes Marcus, avid reader, never got to high school, could have never have that in mind. I have no idea. But that didn't stop him from learning to read. Never drop out of school. Man, an avid reader. Listen to some of his speeches, and you understand who we're talking to. How much do you take time to really listen to the speeches of this man? Then we had Malcolm X. Then we had a Martin Luther King. I'm going to just talk about these 3 M people just for a little bit. Marcus, in a time when you never have cell phone, you never have selfie, you don't have internet, you don't have none of these communication things. Marcus realized, I don't know how this man get this, this is real profit, He had banks, Black Doll Factory. He had the mass communication. He has his own media, the biggest, the largest distribution of newspaper in the world at that time. A little old black man out of Jamaica who don't have no education. When you talk about getting people uniform, he had an army, not to kill people, not to kill white people. He didn't care about white people that way. He wanted his people to be powerful, know who they are. He had them up in beautiful regalia. When you see he got up in his regalia and get out there as the leader, my God, who can, this man, you have to revisit Martin Luther King with your eyes open differently. Not Martin Luther, Marcus Garvey. And take a look and listen to the man's speech. I mean, tears and goosebumps and everything is going to be flooded you, because maybe now you're a little bit more conscious. And when you look at the man brought the black man to know himself. He was not relying on anybody, but he uses the power, the strength within the organization to bring people together, millions of people together. I don't know how he got away with it so long. White folks were sleeping. And while he was sleeping, he was developing a nation. Me not talk about a nation of violent people, a nation who were knowing themselves, who were providing for themselves, who were bringing something to the table. Till the man gotten so far that he started to purchase. He said, if there is a I think what the Starliners were. They were Norwegian Starliner or some 2 other Starliner. He says, pardon me? Go ahead. Yeah, I know. But he said, what before the Starliners that were before, and then he says, if these Starliner exist, then he may have to have a black Starliner. So then he came up with the Black Star Line with the 2 ships. Can you imagine in the 1800s, somebody had the audacity to rally people together about stocks and bond, which 90% of us don't know nothing about stock and bond that comes on the airway every single day. Our children know nothing about that because that's not important. That's not important to us. We just want to buy. But not even invest in the stock that we are buying from. So we have part and parcel of the profits. So this man developed, he bought ships. And of course, the downfall of Mr. Marcus Garvey and all of the years of hard work when he got people to believe in themselves. And I was listening to one tape when this woman says, when everybody dress up in their uniform and they march in unison, oh my God, you don't know how that made us feel. You got to listen to Marcus Messiah Garvey. Then, after they deported Marcus, and of course, after they did, the white man sent a black man to crush the whole system, sent a black man to make sure that the ships that he bought were overpriced and they were no good. So we could kill this, because everybody started getting afraid. Hey, these people are getting sensible and smart. They're going to have their own transportation. They have their own building. They have their own bakery. They have their own every single thing. We can't have that. So when they deported Marcus, even to say that you're a Garveyite, you'll be almost taken to jail. So the whole, everything went literally. Malcolm X came along, which was Malcolm Little, which the Malcolm's dad and mom was a part of Garveyites. So Marcus usually here they talk about Garvey and all of that. So this is why eventually he got that militancy. Now listen to what Malcolm did. Malcolm was not fighting white people either. He was protecting. And you see, we have to make sure we kind of look at what people are doing and understand them. This is why I'm saying we have to go to the Genesis. We have to go back to the Genesis and understand, and not only have an overstanding of what these guys were trying to achieve. Malcolm X was not, violence against black people. He was trying to protect his nest. He says, you dare come over here. Anybody dare come over here. I am going to protect this, and I'm protecting with my life. Now, his thing, I think, was totally misinterpreted, right? Okay, when they murdered him again, we murdered him again, of course. We succeeded in murdering him, so we set us back. Then we took on Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was preferred over Malcolm because he wanted to integrate. And we figured that this was a nicer way. He's not too violent. He's not too vocal. He's not too passionate. He's a more God thing and the God-fearing person and the Jesus person. We're going to use Jesus to come in through the back door, and that will be kind of more civil. Martin want to integrate us, and of course I'm all for integration, but I don't think that we were ready for that because we did not get the opportunity to know ourselves yet. We did not get the opportunity to build our own banks yet. We did not get the opportunity to build our own universities yet. We did not get the opportunity to rule ourselves and to understand ourselves. We did not get the opportunity to create our own science lab and to do all of those things. So we were not ready to be integrated as yet. So I think Martin Luther King did a great job, but I think in my opinion, what he did was to have white people see that black people were not, was kind of a human being, because, our Constitution was not written for us where all people are equal, because when that was written, we were not considered as human beings. So that was not for us. People don't realize that. We're kind of pulling this thing that the Constitution was written with us in mind. We were 3/4 of a people or 1/8 of a human being. So I think that with this, just looking at these three leaders, my way of looking at that, we want to get to the integration thing. And this is what the ideal thing, because then our world would be at peace, because that man has his A bomb and this one as his A bomb. So we have to respect each other. When I say A bomb, it doesn't necessarily mean weapon in any way, but when that man know he has his strength and this man know he has his strength, you better respect. You have to respect your adversary if there is ever one. So you bring something to the table, you have to respect me. If I'm just coming to beg and receive, you're not going to have much respect for me. And I don't think that as a nation of people, we got to the point where we knew ourselves and we knew who we are in prepared enough to be integrated. Want to take another call here. 314, good evening and welcome into the show. Hello, 314. I do. Is it my audio or me? Which one? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, welcome. How are you doing? I know that I'm sure you have been in some way engaged in the past couple of weeks. I'd like to get your reflection on what's going on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But tell me something. Let me just correct you. Isn't this good for those people who are claiming? Because I'm sure none of them is going to have those buildings without some big insurance on them. Mm-hmm. 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 Hmm. Hmm. That's crime. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. But somebody was saying, what we need to start to look at is the way these officers are trained. I know, do you have a white target or you have a black target? What are their concept? What is the training procedure? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The board. d- 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 can you say whether or not they have a psychological profile for these men and women before they are, along with their application to see exactly who these people are before they get accepted? Hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're in the medical profession, it's the same thing. I mean, once you are regulated every year that you're supposed to renew your license. If it's a biannual thing, there is a question there. I have to report what kind of any misdemeanor or any kind of being legal or legal stuff that one is involved in. You have to report that, and then that has to come to the board, and they decide if you're going to be still licensed or not. The right to do that. Mm-hmm. 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 Go ahead, Madhu. Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. 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 Through that. Mm-hmm. So you have like a clearinghouse. Mhm. Ah. Mm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. 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 Talk to me a little bit, Bianca. How did does it take, there's several other community like this, does it take the blood of a young man to be running in the street before we wake up? Because this is being the way of living. Why are we so asleep that we had to get somebody being murdered, and we get people from elsewhere to come in and say, hey, let's see what's going on here? What's that all about? Ah. Mhm. 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 Mm. Who providing these lunch? Wow. 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 You really have to get a pause and wow. But I also, so I'm sure probably you probably, I don't know how, when you started listening in. So it goes back to us that we're not taking care, or we're not seen to, um, n- n- basically not even our own family, much less our community. So we don't associate ourselves with our community. Hence, we're not seeing the inequities across the board. We are really getting individualistic. So once I can buy my Mercedes, and once I can live in this so-called neighborhood, that I want, I integrated here. So let them do the same thing because I had it rough and hard. I worked my butt off, and everybody else can do that. Is that what it is? What's the whole psychology of that? Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. 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 You know, I heard Iana, where you were about to say something. Go ahead, please, if you're still there. I know maybe she has. Mm-hmm. Wow. But I think it goes back to what I was saying, Madhu. If we don't have any respect for us, if we don't have any value system set up, if we don't have the inner, I don't know what, yeah, but that's exactly because we don't know who we are. We don't understand. Listen, if somebody set out and say, you know what, hey, you have to have this consciousness and say, hey, I have my salary today. I am going to make sure I go downtown and find a black person because I understand the power of money and what it means to keep $50 in the community rather than just get up, take my $100 and go to um that place, the M Mart, and get the cheapest thing that I can get. As a black principal, I have to realize that, listen, I am placed in a position that I must remember who I am, that I must come up with these are my children, this is my nation, this is my future. And I have to go above what is required of me. To do that, you have to think about the Marcus Garvey philosophy. You have to think about the many who died in our slave trade on our way here. You have to have that in the forefront of your brain. You cannot forget that 1 minute and say, hey, you know what? I got to go to college. I'm drinking from the same fountain. I have a car. I have a that. Because if you get caught up with that, you're going to forget where you are the real deal. And that is what this integration process is kind of really making us intoxicated, that we even want to outdo our counterpart because we have to have the best Mercedes so that we can use that to represent who we are. Hey, can't you see that I reach because I am able to have this? It's like in the 50s when a man thinks that he reached and his way of showing up white shoes, a cane, and a catalog. That is saying everything there. Wow.
So that's the dilemma that you have. And you said 10%. I think that's about what it takes, 10%. And I'm not far the phrase from boy about the talent and but one thing blacks have to have their own schools. Not
Yes.
everybody, but they have to have a school system of their own where you can derive the type of education. And see the education has to be see there's two things in education. There's skills and
Mm-hmm.
tools, which is what the tools and how to use those skills. A education system has to have an economic component to it, and that should be decided by those people in the brain in the direction that their child is going.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be the direction should be looked at as what is the future trend? What is the future outlook
Mm-hmm.
for business applied to employment?
Mm-hmm.
And also, you have to look like I was mentioning about the lunch program. There has to be a program and movement in order to recapture that and take that back. You cannot allow. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in a particular school district. If your school budget is 350 million, I can guarantee you probably spending close to 100 million. 100 million is being spent towards lunch programs. That doesn't really give you that type of money. And when I went to school, and I'm sure you remember you do. If you went in the cafeteria, you probably recognize the women that was back there
Yes.
because you see them in the community.
Yes.
The preparations that they would make was probably rolled over from
Yes.
the school.
Yes.
We talking about money. You have. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but that's the way it needs to play. You have to be able to control the economics that surround that which is a substance. This is money. And some people cannot sit here and understand it. Blacks make up economic markets. That's just the way that they currently live. We have more blacks in the South now than we have since Reconstruction. I don't blame them. I think it's markets in the South show us the weather's a lot more better. And you got more people that make up these economic markets. You should control those economic markets. People that come from 12 time zones away should be controlling those economic markets. Look how much money you spend on gasoline. Look how much money you spend when you walk in that gas mark beside other items. Look how much money you spend on hair products, making yourself look nice. Look how much money you spend on food. And look at what's left. Like, where you stand.
That's
And
it.
then you wonder why they got children got to sit at the red light in the street with pots, helmets, and buckets, begging for money, making up so that they can travel. Somebody tell me if Arab or Asian children have to go that section 43.
I don't think you're missing a thing. And this was the same thing I was talking about on another program that I was just in the week here. I don't think we have respect for our money, and that's the only thing right now we have the power in our dollars. You still have some businesses that don't want to see you come into their store, although you're spending the dollars. Even if you're Oprah Winfrey, they rather not see you. But the majority of the other stores, this is how they exist. This is how Mr. Big M have 400 and what $50 billion sitting for three people, or is four of them or three people. And then you have the same people who have $400 billion sitting on are employing people and paying them $4 an hour, $3 an hour, and having some the same kind of a slave system, as it were.
And
Um,
you know another thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Wow. Wow. But the other thing is, does these people know? Because here is where we come into with knowledge. Do they know? I mean, for example, if we were serious about that, we on this side would have gotten together if we could. 50, 60, 70 of us listening to the show, or five, six of us, because some of us have some good dough. And if we're really thinking about our community, our nation, we should have been, because all of these other companies, they're somewhere in Asia, somewhere getting these very low cost means of manufacturing their goods and then reselling it at 100% more than really what is worth, period. Why can't we not look and have some kind of mm, arrangement? Some of us go back home, go into these area and start manufacturing and get back to this United States. Let me even say even further than that. I I lo- I look, you mentioned something about our women. Of course, we are at a stage now that, believe you me, I think it was Thursday last week, the second time, believe you me, since I've lived in this country for over going near 40 years, 30 something years, I've seen a woman within her natural habitat. Let's say habitat, meaning she looks like natural. And I almost bow before this woman, because this was so beautiful to see a woman with her natural hair, as I remember as a child. I say my hair is not as very beautiful as the real black folks hair, so I'm not privileged to have that beautiful hair. But she had her hair rolled, I mean, twisted. And I had to go over and say, ma'am, you make me feel like, I mean, I just want to hold you and touch that hair, because I haven't seen this in so many years. You cannot find a woman who love herself this much. You cannot find a man who love a woman so much so she can be herself and she don't have to burn up her hair, burn up all of those carcinogenic chemicals that exposes us in her hair, because she won't find a man who is going to love her. You have to search far and wide. Oh, why is her hair like that? If you take her home to mama, mama is going to have the same complaint. I mean, so why she have to look like that? Why is her hair like that? The woman must straighten out her hair and make she look good. You have this multi-billion-dollar industry. And who owns this industry? It is not our people who are providing these hair to have extension, these products that to fry our hair up, and to whatever is done, the hair comb, the burning combs, and all of that kind of a stuff. There is none of our people who manufacture that. And can almost, if there are one or two people, there's not three. Why is it that we are not able to capture this market? Why, if I need a piece of extension, which I shouldn't, because I should be, and this is where I'm talking about, until we go back to who we are and know who we are and accept who we are. I'm not saying anybody shouldn't try to look pretty. I don't see me trying to, I mean, fix me different. You come to my house, the only thing I'll apologize for, if my house is untidy, I will apologize. You come to my door, the way you see me, there is no other face that is gonna go on me, I mean, to suit you or anybody. That's the face I was born with. That's the way, I mean, you're gonna see me. I mean, the hair, it's ruffled. And if I come to the door, that's the way you're going to see it. There's no straightening comb. There's no chemical. There's nothing is going to be in my hair. And I'm not saying everybody has the right to do it, but I'm saying to you, we have to find a way. When I was in Jamaica, if you had chemical in somebody's hair, a child's hair, they would have to be almost an adult. Now I see, which was very alarming to me, 3-year-old, 2-year-old kids, they start the chemical process from the time the child is a baby. They don't know what their hair looks like. What is that saying to you if you can accept who you are? Yes. Mhm. Oh, so they would have monopoly. Wow. Mm-hmm.
I remember when I used to listen to him, I knew this man's lifestyle. He would close the store when he would go to the market and pick up his produce, and then he'd come back, open the store back up, and he controlled his hours, his time. And that's one thing I really noticed as a child. And he made me off business because I saw that people that were in business made their own mistakes, especially like they were free. And then that was had a what was called a beer joint, but it was a place that sold barbecue, and it was considered a nice place. Air conditioned, parking. This was back during the 50s, and I saw stuff like that. And now, in these areas, you don't typically see a lot of black people out front in business. You see all years of foreigners and behind these glass walls and places that look like jails. And I don't think he should. I think the young people in this kind of stuff, and I don't think he inspires them to want to go into business. I've never run into a young person that wanted to go into business. I've run into quite a few people that wanted a job.
Yes.
That's all you need.
Wh-
Uh-huh. One thing that we should be doing, I'm gonna tell you because I done this before. I told them what they was gonna do. I said you're gonna be an engineer, and you're gonna take a business. You're gonna major in gas and petroleum. You're gonna get a PhD out of it, and you're gonna have a master in business, a minor in business, a master's degree. Your minor will be in business, and that's what we need to do. You have to. When you're dead last, where else is it that you can go? And if you go up, you want to go up whereas you can be commanding in the position you're going. This stuff of going working for somebody in a fast food restaurant and all that stuff, I respect people that do that, but that's not going to get us any place. You
mhm.
can't get no place with that type of income. Black income is medium income is dead last compared to everybody, every other ethnic group. And we got to stop. Here's the point: you got businesses. Businesses control politics, and
Mhm.
guess what? The politics control. Politics control the police.
Mhm. Always.
Look at look at what here in North St. Louis County, because the politics is so heavily strong in Democrats and the people that we have in there that's been there for a long time, they able to tell the governor, what's going to happen. They couldn't tell him everything now, but you see changes that we wouldn't have seen if it wasn't for the politics. And the police chief, we're going to hear from Food, he's got to go too. He said it was the politics because they had the governor placed a highway patrol, a black man by the name of Ron Johnson, in charge of the ground operations because he grew up in that area. And the white chief, Jackson, the Ferguson, made the comment, well, it's politics. I'm not in control. He understands his side. But he didn't put the racism down there because there was times when he told white police officers and gave them companion injury back to him.
Mhm.
You had white police officers with their badges off and they didn't do that.
Wow.
You had white police officers coming from during the first call for support, St. Anne and the surrounding community, where they would put guns in front of black folks' faces and say, I'm going to kill you, you niggas, you nothing but animals. Of course, they got taken out of there, but that's the mentality. I don't worry about the mentality. Get them out of your community. They shouldn't be burned. That's right. Get them the hell out of your community. Why'd you let them be in your community? Wilson didn't retire. Wilson retired because he was going to be on the review. And he's going to be fired. So he resigned. Tried to get severance pay. You ain't getting no severance pay out there.
Mhm.
And nobody can't say that these jobs are not no good because people drive 15, 25
Wow. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Wow. And this is why I contend that somehow we need to get back to ground zero somewhat, where we can develop ourselves properly, where our children can see our intentions in terms of business, because that's the only power we have, power and education. And education is not to be educated to be, I mean, supporting the big businesses. We want innovators, we want entrepreneur. We need to set up some critical thinking in the classroom. We need to introduce our children to the market. We don't do that. We don't even involve children in our with our finances. They don't understand where money come from and how money is handled. We don't talk to them about money. We don't talk to them about, huh? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that's what I'm talking about, Bianca. We have to find ourselves before we are going to get respect. Nobody can respect somebody who is a handout. We're at the handout thing. We're in the consumer spot. We have to be in the manufacturer spot where we can bargain. We don't have any bargaining chips. Wow. Wow. I think it's New Jersey.
Then when he started the production as big as it was, he was having problems with the ingredients. So he went all the way back to Jamaica because he was doing this in Jamaica.
Hmm.
And he went out in the forest and found an old guy who knew the recipe and brought him back here to the States, there in New Jersey, wherever, and let him tinker around with the ingredients until he got it just right. This man do $100 million worth of business a year. Then he went down in Florida because there was a white couple that had the name Golden Crust,
Hmm.
and he bought it from them. Now he owns it sold. That's the story. His book is called The Baker's Son. Buy that book and read that story. Everybody else, meat pies.
Meat patties. We call it patties.
Yeah, tell them about it, Sister Ella. Now, what's the difference between a meat pie and a shepherd's pie?
Those are totally two different things. A meat pie or patty, we call it patty. You have within the you have an outer, or more or less like a dough that is covered, that you covered on the inside, and we do a lot of different things. It could be ground beef, it could be chicken, it could be vegetables. Now you have goat patties and all of that kind of a stuff.
Now I got a question. You know what, brother? Now you know what it's like, brother. You remember how my grandmother used to make those fried pies, peach pies, and apple pies. You remember them? You know how they used to take the dough and roll it out, and take a fork and hit it,
Yes.
and then they take the filling and cook it, and they spread it on, and then roll it over where it's kind of shaped like a banana, and they take their finger to push on the outside there to put it into the filling and fry.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what they look like.
Delicious. You're in that era. You need to go to a Jamaican restaurant and get one of that with some meat pie, meat patties.
Well, let me tell you what happened. There's a beach on the Rio, close to here where we live, and they have about four different restaurants, in Maryland. I don't think it's one in DC, but they, real close together, right? And they have these vegetables in yams. They're sweet. One thing I noticed, the um, the patties started getting thinner and thinner. Um, I mean, the ingredients on the inside when we first started buying them, they were moist and everything. And I don't know if it had something to do with few people at this restaurant or what, because we had some problems with someone else that was trying to run the thing because I think they tried to franchise it, and the food just tanked because when we were leaving to go to another restaurant that was close to the house, we started going over there. But the experience that I had was 90% of the time that we would go over there, they wouldn't have any pies, and it got to the point where I mean that was like the main ingredient mainly as we were going over there, and we have to call people's phones to see if they would have them, and if they had pies, then we would go and buy some. But if they didn't have pies, then it was like, well, I don't care if we can keep going because the pies were like the whole
The
meal
caviar.
when you come over there. And I don't understand how people run out of stuff like shepherd's bush. And the things are selling, real good. It's because they ask for 'em. That's one issue we have here with the black restaurants that we go to. Running out of stuff that you go there and you think you're gonna buy the same thing. There's another restaurant that's run by another group, and
This. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, even I got my plantain at Sam's. I was surprised, but but plantain is very expensive because sometimes for just one plantain you pay in 60 cents, 65 cents. Fortunately, no, at Sam's, I get them like 250 or 254 thereabout, which is like about 3 pounds, maybe about six in there. So that's like about 30 cents a piece roundabout, which is very good. But like for us, what we do with the plantain, we which is absolutely great food. We use the plantain in a lot of ways. You have the plantain porridge. You grate that, the green ones for plantain. You also fry the green ones. You squash them in the hot oil a little bit. You take them out, and you use the plantain skin and squash it down and put it back. Oh, that is very delicious. That's the green one. Then you. Mhm. No, no, no. What you do is you cut it. You cut it like a little wedge, and you put that wedge in the hot oil. One side of it kind of get a little bit pre-cooked. Then you take it out of the pan. You press it in the plantain skin, and so you just put it right into the skin and just use the plantain skin and press it out so it gets a little bit flat, because you wouldn't be able to fry it if it's that thick because it's green. So you press it out so it get like a fritter, press it out, and you put it back into the oil so it can fry evenly because it's a little flatter now. And you fry that until it gets nice and cooked, and that is so delicious. You can add a little salt to that, and that gives it a little nice little flavor. uh and you have that. Normally we have that. Huh? No, this is the green one. This is the green one. This is the green one. You can fry it green and you can fry it ripe. So you make the porridge with it. Go ahead. You can you well you can, as I said, you can use it, make the plantain porridge, grating it and doing like you make a porridge. That's very, very delicious. You can fry the green one. Pardon me? Recipe? Yeah. Well, I do because we grew up on that. It's just like the banana. You make the banana porridge too, and you make the plantain porridge. It's a little bit different texture and taste to it. Then, as I said, you have the green fried plantain. Then you have the ripe plantain that you fry. You cook also the green plantain like you would cook the green banana. You literally boil that green plantain when it's green. You can also boil the ripe plantain when it's ripe. You get it. Pianke was saying when it's a little bit mushy, you make it a little bit riper and it's a little bit soft. You boiled that, and normally we have that with codfish or saltfish and a lot of tomato and some pepper. Make sure you have a little oil in there so you can swoop it up nicely. You also slice. Uh-huh. You also slice the ripe plantain and make little slices. I'm sure Pianka have that at the Nigerian restaurant. Most of the food that you have come with a side order of fried plantain. There's so much you can make a flour out of it. Also, just like how you have the yam flour and stuff like that. So it's a hell of a lot of food. The thing about it, that is usually more expensive. The plantain um, is a higher bread than the banana. It doesn't produce as much. You can have a banana stem with 13 hands on it. A plantain have maybe just about 4 or 5 hands on it. It's not as big and it doesn't give you as much. So the plantain is much more expensive than the regular bananas and more sought after. A more I don't know what to say in terms of the taste. More culinary taste. Well, you see, like some of these foods, I mean, if what most Americans know about is a burger and is Mr. Mac or is Mr. Kentucky Fried Chicken. I mean, majority of Americans know about sweet yams and potato. Wherever the potato, that's about the two roots that you eat. You don't know about banana, cocoa, afu, and all of those ground provision um, cassava, and all of those stuff. This is not indigenous, I think, of this part of the country. This was introduced by, foreigners coming in from Africa and the Caribbean. So nobody would get out there and do an advertisement. We don't even do an advertisement for food, not even, people hardly even do advertisement for oranges or apples as such. Very few, unless it's in a drink. So I think, mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. Yeah, we roast it. That's like roasting it. Yeah, we do that too. You roast it right there in the skin until the skin start to bust. I mean, it's cooked, and you just unpeel that, and that's the banana there. Because that's where all the iron is. Yes, the thick part. Yes, you just wash that off, and you just put it in the oven, especially like the ripe one. And when it's cooked, it just kind of busts that peel, or what you call it, peel, and you just peel that off, and you just take the food out of the inside. It depends on how ripe it is. Mushy? Yeah, you just keep it, or to get it ripe, especially like in the winter time. It takes very long time to ripe. You need to wrap it in something that's heat. We usually wrap it in the brown paper bag, or if you have the newspaper and you put it away, just try and remember it, and that the heat will all, that's what ripens the planting. You shouldn't use palm oil, period. That's not a One good one. Vegetable oil is good. You shouldn't fry. Um, you shouldn't fry olive oil to a certain degree. So you put well, you don't have to put any oil. You just put it in the oven and bake it when it's really ripe, and then you just pour a little olive oil over it. um or if you have to eat palm oil, you pour a little bit. I guess you'd have to cook that a little bit, but you just pour a little bit over that. Or if you eat meat, you just have your meat as you will have that, and you eat it along with that.
Well, I have ate plantains that was almost like had like a glaze, like a crunchy glaze on it. It was sweet.
Yeah,
That
that's fried.
okay.
Yeah.
I
You heat your saucepan up, and you slice the plantain thinly, and then you just have the heated oil. You just put them in it. It is a couple of minutes. You turn it over, and you turn it over until it's nice and caramelized a little bit, because it's sugar, so it's get a little brown very quickly. And we usually eat that. Of course, you have some codfish and all of that, or we put it between bread and you have that as a little sandwich.
but
You
you have to cook them a little heat because it will stick. That's one thing I found out. If you cook it in a skillet, it has to be fairly low.
no, 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 no. You heat the pan, your skillet up. Heat your skillet up. Make sure it's hot, and then you put your oil in. Make sure it is a certain temp. Well, everything you just
How
know
much
after a
oil?
while.
How much
Huh?
oil do you think?
Not a
How
lot.
much
Not a
oil?
lot. Not a lot. You don't
Barely just
immerse
coat the bottom
them.
of the skillet.
Huh?
Do you barely just coat the bottom of the skillet?
Yeah, I mean, you coat the bottom with, you can see oil in there, because if you just put a little tiny bit, it's going to stick to the skillet. So you want um, oil in the pan, but not submerge the plantain in the oil. You want to see oil in the pan, not just quote it.
I don't. Yeah, I avoid oil, even olive oil. I try to use the bare minimum of whole oil in my food.
Well, in that case, you do not need to put ripen the plantain. If you like it ripe, put it in the oven, and with nothing, just put it in the oven. Cut off the two little ends, put it in the oven, and you will see when the plantain is cooked, it will get a little dark. It will start to bust out those seams a little bit, and you just take it off. Take the skin off, and you have your cooked plantain. You don't need to have oil to it. You also do the green plantain as that. So we roast it. That has a different, you actually take the skin off and you roast it when it's green like that. I've never roasted in the skin. When it's green, you take the skin off and you roast it like that. If it is the ripe one, you just wash it, cut off the end, put it in the oven. It will just start bust out when it get to cooking. It will burst itself out almost out of the skin. You just take that off, and your plantain is there. It's ready.
Now, when you cook a green plantain, does it taste sweet?
Not really sweet. It has a little tart taste. It's a little harder because it's tough. To cook the plantain, when you cook the plantain, just like you cook banana, you can cook it in the skin. A lot of people cook it in the skin. We remove the skin. If you
Just like I cook banana, I don't cook banana.
you don't cook the green
I cook the
bananas,
banana.
you don't cook the green
I never
bananas,
cooked the banana.
huh?
Any kind of banana. I've never cooked the banana.
You have to get the green one. You get the green one
I
and you
don't like the
boil
green
it.
banana.
Yeah, you could get the green one and you boil it.
I tell you something good is African hen. Hen compared to chicken. Yeah,
Oh,
very lean.
wow.
Well, I'm gonna have to go down here to my local African store. I got one about
The shell. Mm-hmm.
They just took it and dried everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking for a shell.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's new to me. Just take the whole thing. Just uh, I was used to just the shell and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried it. Tried it. I didn't try it myself. I tried to fix stuff for the cat, and I think it was too spicy for him and stuff.
The cat getting shrimp dinner? Your cat is expensive, Days.
I was experimenting with the shrimp because after it was in the shell, I didn't want to eat it. So I said, well, I need to do something with it. So I said, let me try it out on him.
Yeah, but you can still take the shell off. You can take the shell off.
But it seemed like it wasn't feeling right. It was very dry and powdery almost.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the other one. Yeah, I know what one you're talking. Especially in Nigeria, they do a lot of dry food, like the dry fish and a lot of dry food. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, mm-mm. No, no, we no.
It's funny how you take it on different recipes compared to what they still do on the continent. They had, as I said, the African hen, which is very lean. It's just a wild chicken, I would say. Very meat's very lean. Of course, they have the goat. They
Yes.
have snail. They have stockfish. Yeah. They have dried fish, smoked fish. I think that's either catfish. I know it's not tilapia. Then of course they got tilapia, and they have a variety of other green like foods. What is it, spinach or goosey, and
Callaloo.
they had a one that they make out of black eyed peas. I can't think of the name of that. Borquois, and a variety of. They have the pounded yam. They have
Mm-hmm.
another yam that's real dark brown. And they have one that's kind of in between. So, and they
Well,
have spinach.
they have just like j-
Okra stew.
yeah, oh, the okra stew, of course. I just finished my okra. I mean, with the yams, like in this country, you just have, as I say, just the regular. You don't see a variety of ground provision here at all. Just sweet potato and your regular potato. We have a variety with bananas. We have so many different species of bananas. I mean, wow, a hell of a lot. So you maybe see a couple of bananas here, Lackaton or Gros Michel or something, but there are frog banana, Chinese banana. We have different names that we call them locally. So there's different breeds of banana, and with the plantain, there's a form of the banana as well. With chickens too, we have different breeds of chicken. Um, you know, the way how they have their food it's the food is just so varying, and most of the food, like in the Caribbean and Africa, is you eat more live food, not as manufactured, as you call it, manufactured food like we here. I went to a class a couple days ago, well, a couple of weeks ago, and I was looking at the food for the first time. When you look at things, it's so different. Just like when you write things, you really start to see things. And I look at the food pyramid, and I look at the food we eat in this country, and there was about 30 foods that is on our table every single day, and 99.100%, as I say, all of them are dead and preserved food. There's no live food. And I'm saying to myself, How can we survive like this? Even the vegetables, I mean, it's canned and doused in salt, pack of sodium. The fruit is doused in syrup, and there's so much so that people in this country cannot eat a fruit unless it's doused. It's like somebody having a salad, but you will never eat that salad unless it has salad dressing. Now, what's the use you're going to get that wonderful live food and douse it with salad dressing? To me, that is just so unrealistic. It's just like somebody going to the store and say, "Hey, I want a triple burger, but I want a diet, whatever the thing is. Make sure it's diet. If it's not diet, I don't want it." I don't understand it. So the way how we do food, everything process, no real food.
You're saying that you can eat salads with all types of ingredients and put nothing on it. I've
You
seen people just put lemon juice on it.
Well, nothing is. I don't eat a salad with anything on it, not even lemon juice. If you're having a salad, you get the lettuce and cut it up, and you water crushes, and you put some tomato in it. Um, you put some onions in it, and you put a little black pepper on it. You can put a little vinegar because vinegar helps with the digestion. I mean, that's the only thing you should put on it,
Myself,
huh?
I can take kale for mine. I use kale as
Oh yeah, the kale, of course, absolutely.
grain.
Hmm.
I can eat a ton of that.
Oh, the kale is good. Kale is good.
What about raw okra?
Oh, I eat a pack of okra almost every day. Okra, just okra and beans. I just finished my okra and beans. Just that's dinner.
Cook it whole.
I eat sometimes. I love it old, so I can.
Yeah, where it roll.
I can do that. Or I don't like to cut. I try to avoid cutting things like my vegetable for the oxidation, my vegetable and fruit. Try not to cut them for the oxidation and change all of the molecular structure. So you bite into it, you eat into it just like that, rather than cutting it. So I don't cut my okra. I just wash them off, and there they go right into the pot.
Montreal, have you ever had an amino, Bragg's amino? Oh yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. We use that stuff on. Well, when I first started using it, I used to overdose on that stuff, and I had to yeah. kind of cut back. Cut back. You know,
You
you know what you do? You can take okra and you can put a little Bragg's amino, but you gotta let it sit, then eat it. Same thing with kale. You can't just put it on and eat it because it'll give you gas out of this world. You have
really?
to let it sit. The kale, I let mine sit. Well, the least I let it sit is about 4 to 6 hours. In the refrigerator? Yeah, you can let it sit in the refrigerator.
You just
But
cook it and let it sit.
leave it outside.
You
No, I use raw kale. I
oh
take raw kale, I put it in, I sprinkle some garlic granules on it. I always put some Trisha Yeast, red pepper, cayenne pepper, and I toss that, and I sprinkle some Bragg's on it, toss it real good, and I let it sit,
oh
and it will wilt,
oh
and it's easy to eat. But if you try to eat it as soon as you mix it like that, it would cause you to have, I mean, it just cause you to have gas.
oh.
So the amino, they probably chemically cooking it a little bit. Well, it's natural, but it does. It's like it's an amino. It's like it's not an acid. Some people say amino acid, but it's like a little. It's like a salt substitute, but it's not a salt.
Mm-hmm. A roast pumpkin seed also is great. I, this is, we should start a program with the food, because what I as I t- I talked about this last time, the epidemic that we have now. And I'm glad we start talking about food, but we need to expand this a little bit and focus on food, because the epidemic of diabetes, that is, I don't know if this is just concocted, but that is taking us out left, right, and center. And the way that diabetes is treated, we can reverse 99% of diabetes if you get into that rut. But once you get to the doctor and you're kind of going anything over 100, they put you on that medication that is literally going to kill you, because it's going to, for the most of part, it is going to let you gain weight. And once you get weight, because weight gain is one of the biggest thing when it comes to diabetes, of course. And if you're going to have a medication that you're going to get more weight, you're going to get more problem. So your doses of your insulin is going to keep going up and going up and going up, and that is going to cause more and more complication. And this is what is killing us. Nobody wants to treat it and try to teach people how to combat this. And some people are not willing to change their lifestyle, and we want to take the pill, that the pill is really destroying everything we are. If you have a little 3 4 year old having diabetes now, I mean, type 2 diabetes, is a pandemic situation. Hmm? Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, insulin. But sometime, and this is the thing, this is what we have, when I look at what we're doing here and the opportunity to have this kind of a media, and we're not making use of it. We're not getting our folks together so we can exchange our little knowledge. All of us don't have everything. So if somebody has a little knowledge here, well, they can do this, and or they we can talk about that, and we can talk about this. But we are not coming together. Those of us that have a little knowledge kind of break away from the pack, because they don't want it. We don't like what we see in us, so we're not going to be staying around anywhere. And this is what is, it's like we are training ourselves in terms of even how the system is, and we end up having a brain drain, because even in your community or even the family, that family member moves away totally. You only see them once a year. The children don't let to see grandma, so the tradition is not passed. And as a matter of fact, children here are scared of their grandma, because they're old. They don't see white older people. They don't see people skin change, and they're not around them to see their changes. They will like you because you're going to give them things, but they're not there to get an opportunity for the tradition to pass on. So this is why even we talk about our food, which is very, very important, and a part of all of this, of us knowing who we are. If our food is changed, our lifestyle is changed. If our DNA is not set up for this kind of food that we are getting, I'm sure Mr. Coca-Cola will never ever feed his children Coke. I mean, I am sure Mr. Donut person will never ever eat a donut. I am sure Mr. Purdue will never eat a chicken. Absolutely, it is. Not the one that is in the can though. Not the one that's in the can. That well, I hope it's 100% coconut water, but sometimes they lace it with the sugar, and of course, once it's in a carton and it goes into the store, it's not 100% anymore because you have preservative. But buy your coconut from the store and just break it open, eat the coconut itself, and you drink the water. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Uh, yes, very well. And your skin. Well, you can put it on your head. Put it on your head. Well, it's good for your skin. It's good for your skin. And what you do if you buy the coconut in the store, the dried one, you just put it in your blender. Just take the meat out, put it in the blender, put it right on the stove, and let it boil down. You blend it out. Add some water to it, blend it down, and you get your coconut oil right there. And that is so delicious when you do that. Maybe 40 minutes to get down to the oil. Yeah. And there is not going to be any preservative in that. You just make your own coconut and you just use that, and it's so much more delicious. You think you have that. And what you should do if you're really into the coconut, get the cold pressed coconut. That is cold press, and you get all that. It's not chemically induced or all of that. And if you boil some coconut oil right there in your pot, it's so different. Really, really so different. The taste is different. It has a so beautiful aroma as well. You put a little piece of rosemary or a little piece of thyme in that. Oh my goodness. Mm-mm-mm. And you use that for your skin also. Yes, smell. Oh, definitely. Absolutely. Well, I guess you have to check on that. Probably somewhere, maybe check on, you have some nasal infection, or sometime you just never know what is there because you're. Hmm? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ah, ah, there it goes. Well, we are out of time ourselves. Well, guys, thank you so much. Hey, before you go, we got about 5 minutes. Just kind of wrap up and give us a little something to go away with, Bianca. And I'm going to do the same thing for Yanaway and Madhu as well. Until we get back, Dr. Navishi, she's always there. um, Um, Dr. Navisha will be back. Navisha is going to be back next week. I think she's talking about something with sex and love, or I'm not sure what the topic will be. But Dr. Navisha will be back in the house next week. Go ahead, Pianke. Thank you, Pianke. I, Yanaway. Good night, Pianke. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you. Is Yanaway. Thank you. Madhu. Wow. Wow. I really like that. That is absolutely wonderful to know that there is some light in the window. I want to thank all of you who are hanging out and joining us every week right here. One of these things, if we want to start the movement, if we want to really get things going, um, we can't be always preaching to the choir or the save. As they said, the Bible says, God never come or Jesus never come for the righteous, right? If everybody makes an effort, and this is what we're talking about coming together, though. If everybody makes an effort to tell somebody, you teach me, I teach you. There are lots of stuff. We talk about food this evening, and some folks might be listening and say, hey, how is that relevant to what you started off? It does. It does, because we're talking about the whole us. And food is what brings us together. And food is what makes us have strength. And food is what weakens us and kills us into diseases. We need to start a program, just really focus on foods and growing and start that food bank. I do believe in myself somewhere that the person who is going to really be wealthy is going to be the person who has seeds, whether he's going to be a farmer, whether he's going to be selling the seeds. People start to really look at seeds. And once you start looking at seeds, you're going to put some of the foods that you eat into the ground and stop planting grass. We need to get our families together. We need to find, at least start out with one little young child that is being born and breed that child, literally breed that child into less, I don't know what you want to call it, if it's a revolution or whatever, but we need to take that kind of a action, be responsible for that one child. Everybody put a fund together so that person knows that we as a family, we are depending on you. Whether it's going to be a lawyer, we hope we don't have none of those and we don't ever need any of those. A physician, a teacher or whatever, somebody who is going to take this light a little further. Marcus Garvey tells us when we see the light, meaning we get education or we have some kind of a knowledge, your job has just begun. Your responsibility now is to share that information, is to go out and teach it, to make sure that somebody else has that. That's what we call sustainability. You alone can be all of the lawyer and the rest of everybody in your family is nothing. That means when you're dead, that is cut off. We have to learn to understand how the system is. Nobody is responsible for us. We are responsible for ourselves. We have to stop pushing our hand out. And in that way, once we stop thinking of taking hand out, and we start handing out to ourselves and our people and empowering ourselves along those lines, then we will be respected, not only by our counterpart here, but the whatever, if we call it Japanese or whoever, pink, yellow, white, yet people do not respect you if you're not bringing anything to the table. Why should I do that? You don't have any bargaining chip. We need to create that. We need to have this forward movement that we really start thinking differently, understand the economic power that we have. And in so doing, we make the conscious effort every day, whether to drive half a mile to make sure you say to your brother, you know what? You're in business and I'm here to support you. You may be a little bit more expensive. I have to drive half an hour to get here. But you know what? I must make the sacrifice, or else the consequences of us not making sacrifice, and we think this is a heyday and we can just be nonchalant and do what we so wish, is not yet come. Until Bob Marley says, until until, and those were the words of the Emperor I Selassie. And I implore you guys not to dance to this music, but listen to the song. Until the philosophy that holds one race superior and another inferior, there shall be no peace. There cannot be any peace. There's always somebody who's going to be disgruntled. So until we can understand that not we are not only here to serve, we are here to be also sitting on that throne too. Or we're all here to serve each other. And until we can understand that we are God's people, if you believe in God, we belong to this universe. We're a part of the universe. We belong here. We are privileged to everything here, and we need to take it. That means we have to open up our eyes. We have to at least bring our men back home. And our men have to start, literally start learning to worship and adore our women. Our women need to let go of these carcinogenic stuff that is bleeding us. How much money do you have to paint why do I need to paint my fingers? And of course, that's controlled by, who control the painting of the fingers. If I open up a painting finger place, nobody will come to me as a Black person. These people, we look out there, we see example of all of these people who are doing what they're doing. They're not out here yelling and screaming, I want to belong to a part of you or a part of what? Why do we want to belong to any part of anything? What we need to do is to find our own footing, bring something to the marketplace. Then you don't have to beg to be part of anything. We have an industry of here, this and here, that, extension, this and extension, that. And we have chemicals and stuff that billion, multi-billion dollar, and we don't have a manufacturer of these things that we are using to put up in a worse health crisis. We need to start to stop. Look, if you're a 50-year-old woman, you've never seen your hair from you were a child 15, 10. You need to cut that out. I personally think you need to cut that out. And once you cut that out, your hair is not too hard and tough and unmanageable. Who told you that? I would love to see a woman with her hair plait or her hair rolled, beautiful. I would love to see a woman with some jewelry on her hand, if you can make jewelry, and have the, some natural jewelry from the brother or the sister or the little kid that start to create their own line. I would love to see the sisters in royal robes, with the queenly thing that we belong. You know what I'm saying? And we have that royal robe strolling through the community and turning heads. I would love to see those royal headdresses and those beautiful, beautiful white teeth underneath those headdresses. And we don't have to paint our lips and all of those kind of stuff. Of course, if you want to do all of those stuff, I'm not saying what people should do or what shouldn't do. But it is just so refreshing and beautiful to really, at one point or the other, just see who we are for what we are once and for all. The gorgeous, beautiful we. That's exactly what we need to do. Come home to us. Then nobody has to fight us, and we don't have to fight anybody. I want to say good night, and we're here next week for you. Dr. Navisha would be back on the mic next week. I want to thank all of you one more time. It's CRS Radio, Caribbean Radio Show, and we're out for now.